Okay, this is the plan stage weekly meeting for the 13th of November 2019. I'm Sean, I'm the engineering manager for the project management backend team. Looks like I've got the first item on the agenda, which is just that Gabe, the project management PM, posted the kickoff video, which is about 5 minutes long. So it's a pretty quick watch if you want to check it out and see what's going on. That sort of covers what he's put in the release planning issue as well. For project management, we're doing a lot of work on milestones. So there's two features that are closely related and basically sort of need to ship together, which is milestone types and multiple milestones. So we want to allow multiple milestones on an issue or a merge request, but only where they have different types, and types are user defined. So we could ship types first, but it doesn't really do anything. And then if we shipped multiple milestones first without shipping milestone types, then you could end up in an unvalid state once you start adding milestone types. And then burnup charts are kind of a slightly side thing, but obviously still related to milestones. So basically, we're going to be spending a lot of time on milestones coming up. And then there's some sort of future things are listed in the doc as well. So, making the sidebar update in real time, having the issue boards API supported in GraphQL so that the front end refactor can use that, and some design work on first class tasks within issues. So, at the moment we've got task lists in Markdown. This would be sort of an enhancement of that, but probably not using Markdown syntax as the way you create them. Any questions? I don't know if Keenan, you wanted to quickly share what's up with portfolio management as well.
There we go. Hey, yeah. We're prepping final. We're doing little bit of triage in the items for 12.6, but we're focusing on continuing to improve relations between epics and issues, mainly linking them, creating them from the proper spaces, and just being able to actually organize them a little better, as well as starting to make our improvements to roadmaps with, starting to visualize milestones and being able to expand epics inside of the roadmap to view items that are attached to it. So we're excited about those changes, and they're kind of moving us in the direction we want to go. So I'll get that release kickoff video done in the next day or two. Awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned the reason Gabe did this earlier is because he's
he's at the shadow.
He's on the CEO shadow program at the moment, so he's like he's working the next couple of weeks, but he's not working on his day job most of the time there. So yeah.
Sean, can you elaborate on what examples of what different milestone types would be?
So I think the example I've been thinking of these is like you might have, and we might do this, for instance, we might have a milestone for a sprint and a milestone for a release. So one of the confusing things we've had in the past, it's not so confusing now that our deployment process is more continuous, but in the past we sort of had a development month that wasn't exactly aligned to when it released because we had a feature freeze at the end. We might be, an issue might be a regression in 12.5 and we're working on it in the 12.6 sprint, but giving the same name and having the same object used for both of those is kind of confusing. There's also some user feedback in the multiple milestones per issue that gives some other examples of where they might want to use that. And we're sort of discussing starting with these constraints and then potentially relaxing them in future. Does that help?
Yeah, the reason I ask is what we're doing, at least on the marketing side, is we're starting to use milestones much more assertively to manage both teamwork and backlog work within the team and strategic marketing. But I've just started to run into the case where same issues are being included in other teams' milestones, and all of a sudden now I'm running into this. So the ability to have multiple milestones per issue is welcome, and the distinction on milestone type will be important to understand when we implement that. But that's I'm eager to see.
So you might have a
together.
PMM type of milestone, and then each issue can only have one of the PMM milestones while still having
other ones. So a type might be a type might be the team, or you could actually have PMM backlog. Yeah, I got it. I'm with you on how that'll come together.
Cool. And actually, backlog could be a type of milestone as well. Now you mention it, because you might want to, like, we have these milestones that I'm personally not a huge fan of, where they say sort of next 3 to 6 releases. And obviously that's kind of like the Alice in Wonderland Jam Tomorrow thing, where like, there's always, you never start on it because it's always 3 to 6 releases away, but you could say that's a backlog type of milestone as well. So yeah, I think Gabe's thought about this more than I have, but I'm glad I was able to answer that question.
No, that helps.
Yeah, John, another.
Oh. I'm going to share my screen in just now and show you all kind of what I'm thinking too, if that helps, okay?
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks, Alexis.
And you can keep talking, Keenan. I'll just show y'all.
Perfect. Thank you, Alexis. Yeah, John, another example you think of is if you have like a larger customer who's trying to do top-down planning, they could actually set up like a quarterly milestone and begin building items out inside of that and plan on a longer timeline.
Well, and what we've been doing so far, this is our first iteration of focusing on milestones as a way to manage our backlog on our work. We have a milestone for the quarter, basically, so we can get to the end of the quarter and say, how have we done with all of the things that people asked us to do? And we're seeing how that works. So I'm eager to see this come together. So
cool. I'm gonna jump in really fast. So what happened was we were thinking about the multiple milestones first, and this is pretty rough actually. But basically, the experience of just adding 5 milestones to the issue seemed a little bit confusing. The onus would be on the user to really classify those milestones by some kind of naming system. So we thought a little deeper about this and where we might start. And we're thinking, and I won't speak for Gabe, but starting with milestone types might be a little bit easier for users. They can go in, probably in settings. Again, this is pretty rough too, but since it's a group level setting and it's something we want people to really think about, especially when they're deleting these milestone types, so we want them to be very cognizant of what that means. So probably settings, maybe some permissions there. They go into, let's say, milestone types. Their default milestone type is milestone. So when they go into an issue, they don't see any difference there. But they could add up to 5 milestone types. Again, rough, but I was thinking we could do something along the same vein as labels. So I go in there, I could set milestone type, I could set a description, I can edit it. Deleting it is probably the trickiest thing. I think Sean's even talked about this, but what does that mean if I delete it? Because then that takes it out of any milestone that's using it and also take it out of issues. So we have to be really, really explain what's going on there. And I'm still thinking through that a bit.
Yeah, we're still discussing that in the issue, I think, because you could say deleting a milestone type deletes all the milestones of that type, but that might be a bit unexpected. But the problem is if we just make them all the default type, then it might put some issues into an invalid state. So yeah, we might punt on that initially.
Yeah, it's a flow we have to think through. But here's what I'm thinking on this side. Still working on it.
So Alexis, thanks for that. With the idea then that the easier way to add multiple milestones would also come to labels in future, because labels and milestones would have the same kind of you can add multiple of those, both of those to an issue right now. So on the issue sidebar view, not on the settings view, when you were talking about how the experience wasn't great right now.
Yeah. So what's your question?
Sorry, I was just saying if we were going to make any enhancements here to how these drop downs work, would we then feed those into the labels drop down in future, where you have a similar kind of setup? And I think we have some issues with how that works at the moment. For instance, there you've got the little X next to the milestones to allow you to remove them, whereas to remove a label from an issue at the moment, you have to open up the labels drop down, find the label, remove the label in the drop down, and then do that. So it would be cool if we could get that in future for labels as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was trying to pull up some stuff to show y'all, but here, let me stop share and share another screen. So fun. Okay. Let's see, I am gonna pull up. Sorry, y'all. Bear with me. In my many tabs. So Jeremy, I don't know what to call him. I always call him like our more visual designer, but we've been thinking through this a bit. And there's a lot of improvements we can make in the sidebar and also those drop downs themselves. Let's see if this paste. It's not pasting, so I'm just going to bring up a prototype. But there's things I would love to do there. You mentioned the X. That's one of them. So allowing people to quickly remove labels and any inputs that they've added to a dropdown. So if you could see the prototype here, something like this. It would have to be a sweeping change. So we're thinking a little more deeply into dropdowns in general. For instance, kind of cleaning them up here so that there's not a bunch of inputs on the dropdown. I don't know if y'all have noticed that, but there's a lot of applied labels on those dropdowns. So just thinking sweeping changes to the sidebar. I think we're stepping back and thinking about how to improve that. So I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna proceed with the that little X in the sidebar right away. But yeah, we're thinking about it. And I would say that if we improve it there, it's definitely going to apply to labels and other various parts there. And we're probably working with Create and other designers as well, just to make sure they're involved in the sidebar changes. That was a long-winded answer to your question, Sean. I need coffee.
No, it's super helpful. Thank you. Seeing that was really
great.
helpful too.
No, I agree. Totally helpful. Really good to see. And I'm gonna reach out to Ty Davis. I don't know if Ty's on the call or not, but I want to make sure that he's ahead of the game on building out demos to help tell the story around this, because this is a big change, and being able to describe and showcase how we think people should do it, I think will be important, rather than just saying, here's a cool feature, go figure out what to do with it.
I think that's great.
Great. Thanks very much, everybody. John H., did you want to, I think you've got the next item on the agenda.
Yeah, just because there's two Johns on the call now, so I added the modifier. Swift change of pace. The internship working group has completed, exited, whatever, met its exit criteria. It's pushing up the daisies. So we might want to think about taking on an intern. It's sort of timed to correlate with the end of the US and European school years. So it might appeal to graduates more. It's a pilot scheme. There are 4 places for interns, and all that's being asked of teams that ask for interns is that they can provide 1 mentor, possibly 2. There'll be a kickoff in Amsterdam. The interns will be flown to Amsterdam, and then there'll be a wrap up, I believe, in San Francisco. So pretty cool experience, if you ask me, for anyone straight out of college. So yeah, like basically there's a Google form, and I think I or Sean can fill it out, but like, to be honest, we take representations from anyone who thinks we should or shouldn't have an intern.
And Donald as well, right?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, anyone can fill it out. Everyone should fill it out.
Everyone should, yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about this program, although I haven't actually done anything about it so far, but it's good that you brought that up. Thank you. Ben, welcome. Sorry, I sent you the invite a bit close to the start time of this call. Do you want to say hi?
Hello. Yeah, so I recently volunteered to be support stable counterpart for a couple of areas. I provided a link in there. There's a kind of couple of bullet points in there about how support sees counterparts, what support currently sees counterparts doing in terms of keeping on top of what each part of the product's doing, and representing what's going on in support in that area. It is evolving. We've got a number of issues that have been open or are open about this to try and get our heads around how this is going to work. But basically, I kind of get my head around sort of what's happening in next releases and be the subject matter expert for project management, and somehow feed back kind of what we find out in support from customers about what's going well and what's going badly and so on.
I think you mentioned earlier as well, like helping set up customer interviews if PMs need it too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as an example, I've been working. I mean, it's nothing to do with this part of the product, but I've been working recently with a customer in Australia who's been exercising new bits of the pipeline continuous integration functionality, and he's had a lot of really good feedback about improving the docs. He's found some bugs. I found some more bugs reproducing his bugs. And yeah, he put some feedback into an issue that product management raised around making that part of the product more lovable. So that would be an example where, you know, we might be able to identify customers that would be more than happy to get involved in improving the product.
Cool. Thanks very much, Ben. So I guess there will be a support stable counterpart for portfolio management and certify as well at some point. Is that right?
In theory, yes. I know that I know the support managers are trying to encourage folk to take it on. So we're working on that. It's one of the questions I'm asking in our current iteration is what's holding people back. I think we need to work that one out.
Yeah, no, great. Well, we'll see you in future meetings, I guess, and welcome.
Yep.
I think that's everything from the agenda, unless someone added something after I switched tabs away. No, that's it. Okay, great. Well, have a fantastic week, everybody, and I'll speak to you all soon. I'll upload this once I've got the recording. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.